Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Wow. Boy, where does time go, Ramin? Oh, my goodness. We're here again to talk more about money. Oh, my gosh. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis and my host today, Dr. Ramin Modiri, to do our Tuesday Money Matters Finance. You name it, we'll talk about it. And just a few thank yous before we get into it, Ramin, if you don't mind. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We look so forward to Tuesdays, I know. So, first of all, just to thank our mother station, the Disability Channel, and all the beautiful support that we get from them. Anything and everything we need, they're there for us. And right now, we're streaming live on your home TV, which is getting rave reviews, I might add, and numbers are climbing very quickly. Streaming live on Laurie Davis Facebook page, Self Worth the Missing Link Superstars Facebook page, and our YouTube channel, Laurie Davis Show Host, the Disability Channel Facebook page, of course, and so much more. And I also want to especially thank our viewers and the people who are becoming loyal to the show. They don't want to miss a show, they don't want to miss a live show. And so, thank you to our viewers and also for sharing the show. I see where quite a few of our viewers share the show right after the fact. So just thank you to all of you for that. So, Ramin, over to you for greetings this morning. How are things in beautiful Southern California?
Good morning. It's happy Tuesday. As you said, it's wonderful to be here. No, all is good. My daughter is here visiting from New York, and she's going back tomorrow morning. So it's never
Oh,
pleasant. So,
oh.
but it's life. So, and we wish her all the best, and we'll miss her. But thank God for technology. So everything is only a
Yes.
little distance away. So yes, but all is good,
Hmm.
and it's wonderful.
Well, yeah, and it's always a treat when you're looking forward to a visit,
Yeah.
and then when they have to leave, it's a different story. So, when you fly to Canada, we look forward to having you, and then you have to go back home. And it's like when I go home to visit my mom, which I'm planning to do this summer, the anticipation is there and the excitement. And then when you go, it's all sad.
Yes, it is. It is.
Is that setting ourselves up for sadness?
No, we
No.
actually, well, our subject hopefully end up in happiness. So.
Yeah. So for any viewers out there that can relate to what we're talking about, please leave a comment because we love our comments, by the way. And if you're participating with us live, you can put comments up on the Facebook pages, and we can put them right up here on the screen. And I don't know that that's something people know about or not, that they can actually have if you have a question, you can post your question in the comments. I can put it up on the screen for everyone to see. And so please participate. We love participation. Let's see. Do we have any other announcements before we start? Well, I have a few, but we'll interject them with breaks and commercials and so on. So over to you, Ramin. What is our topic today? What are we going to talk about?
All right. As you know, you always say, money being one of the biggest taboos, and it's one of the challenges in life. I mean, that's the subject, the financial problems. It it covers a vast array of livelihoods. What I mean by that, it affects individuals, families, communities, and countries. So
Mm,
it's not just specifically for one person or individual, but you know what? If we can handle it as an individual and on our own, that's how the success will come. So today, what I thought about is, first of all, why we fail financially. What are some of the reasons we are not achieving what our potential are and why we have all these problems? On the second segment, I'm going to offer some remedies and how we can become successful financially. And then we finish it by little tidbits. As you know, I like to just interject some of the uh, you know facts and interesting things. So, but let's start with the financial problems. Why we get into this dilemma that we can sometimes cannot get out. And I'm going to offer few reasons. They're not in specific order. So, some of us have some of the problems, some of us all of the problems, some of us like maybe one or two, but nevertheless, there are problems. Number one is overspending. That is something that is common, as I mentioned, from individuals to families to governments. Governments, oh my God, they're being the biggest culprit nowadays. So we like to overspend. And once you start that path, it's a lot of times it's difficult to get back. And we will look at actually, you will see this is a common theme. We're going to look at some of the reasons for that. And it is a big culprit. The second thing is the lack of financial education. And that's when the problems start because there's no encouragement, Dr. Laurie. What happens is, I'll give you some examples. It starts again with us, but sometimes we are not programmed to learn. We are not encouraged to learn about financial education. In families, I start with families, spouses, sometimes the husband doesn't want the wife know what that's going on. They don't have that communication, and it's the control. The parents don't want the children know what's going on, which is sad. And you would think in this world they would actually be the opposite. And it comes to the communities, to the businesses, to the governments. Especially we talk about corruption. So if I'm in a government that there's a lot of corruption going, or a community, do I want my community members be educated? And they're going to
No.
start questioning. So, or we've talked about this. I mean, in a Western world, it's not just about the corruption, it's about the economy. It's about, when 70% of my GDP, what the government's income is coming from spending. So I would encourage you to spend. I like the kids go and buy Xboxes and games rather than, oh, invest in this company for the next 40 years. Put that money in a savings account. So that's not encouraged. And because of that, that's, again, it puts the pressure on individuals to do their own homeworks. I'll give you one example. A few months ago, I was overseas and I was, I spoke in the largest university in that country at their business school. Brilliant kids. It was the business and finance school. And they all told me the government, that's the last school of all of being encouraged or being supported. The government does not want to support the economics and business school because they don't want successful entrepreneurs. Engineering school was getting a lot of attention, but no. So it is not something that individuals you have to take on your own. And the younger you are, the better it is. And this is, I'm directing that, like, if you're in college, this is the time. If you're even in high school, this is the time to get education. Number three, we are living in a world of instant gratification. When you look at all the commercials, or you look at what is the surrounding around us, we find out that, we always live in the future in a sense, but we like to live in presence in a sense of getting that satisfaction of having this thing, or like there's always saying, we want to have our dessert first and then worry about the nutritional things. So this instant gratification applies to a lot of things, and especially in finances, but it also happens in relationships, or when we talk about physical relationships, or we talk about addictions and other things. It's all about that. And we've talked about this in the past. There was studies done in 1980s that they found out, they went back after 20 years after testing a group of children to see who will be successful in life, and they found out delayed gratification, one of the biggest factors in succeeding in life, especially in business. The other culprit is we've been programmed that we have to spend, and if there's anything left, then we'll save. So this mentality is, all right, I got to pay this bill, I got to do that. Well, I like that, get my Starbucks coffee. I got to, oh, if there's any money, then I will put it in a savings account, or I'll put it in my retirement. the interesting thing is, when you get a paycheck, you know, all the social programs, the taxes, the medical insurances, all of those are deducted, retirement. Then you get that, and somehow you end up managing it. But when we are on our own, we have this difficult mentality. So sometimes we need to be dictated and to be able to do that. Which brings me to the next one, which is the lack of discipline. So that's why we like to have a systematic, let's say, savings plan. So it's better to have like take the things out of one paycheck. But not everyone works for the, let's say, government or employer. A lot of people, especially again in Western world, in talk about United States, a lot of people are business owners, and that becomes difficult. So again, I directed at younger uh, people, especially to start their path in the right way, have that discipline. The lack of discipline becomes a big culprit. The next one applies to a lot of people, doesn't matter you're wealthy or not, is lack of common sense. Education is very important. We talked about education. And when I talk about education, it just doesn't mean that you got to read a book and just the quantitative side of things. 2 + 2 is 4. Yes, that is important. It is good to have a path. But I think wisdom is actually more important than the education in a quantitative way. A lot of smart people do stupid things because that common sense out the door. And one of the culprits is again, we are involved with so much information, immediate instant information. Now we have artificial intelligence, we have chat GPT, we have AI, and open, and you have access to so much that you don't even want to think deeply. There's no critical thinking. So
Mhm.
sometimes one of the things I found out is interesting. There was a study done that there's a lot of these scam letters are coming out, especially saving on taxes, or they're getting refunds on some of the government programs. And the biggest people who are falling for that are the wealthy ones.
Oh my
People
gosh.
who are wealthy business owners, because of whether it's the greed, they want to maybe potentially, purposefully they're looking for loopholes, and they're one who falling into this. So the common sense is out the door. So again, I encourage you, something which we've learned, and that's what grandparents that are older generations, the elders, sometimes they have, maybe they don't have the degrees, but they have a lot of words of wisdom we need to listen to. All right. The next one is, which is a big one, and we talk about a lot, and of course, that's your specialty, is our belief system, our mindset. We are brought up in a maybe wrong environment with the different beliefs. And I give you one example that it relates to, again, spending. Let's say we are in a family and we have I just use the father. He's been working so hard all his life. He's been saving, and then whatever reason, he loses all that money, whether it was the wrong investing, or whether a family members comes in and takes all that money, and he sacrificed so much. So I, as a child, I see that, and basically then I put two and two together, that, oh, all that hard work went up to the, if we were thinking about future and now we lost it all. You know what? Any money that I make, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy that. So that goes back to that instant gratification, but also it comes to that belief system. And then, of course, we've talked about, and I know you have the whole workshop on, our poverty mentality. We have prosperity mentality. So basically, it's a huge thing, and I think we have to really look back in our own lives and see why these things happen. Um, the other culprit is, talking about mindset, is the justification of our own stories. We sit down and everything, okay, our credit card bills are up to the hilt. We have large debts. We are not, and then we come up with these games. We come up with the blames, and we say, oh, if it wasn't because of that, it wouldn't have happened. So basically, we end up creating stories to justify rather than remedy the problem. So I think that's another important factor. How are we doing on time? I just want to make sure we
We're
are.
doing good. We could, when you're finished your list, we could take a little break.
Oh, okay. So it's the first segment, so I'll continue with that. This is a huge one, and it happens in the investment world. I see that a lot, and we call it not enough syndrome, the envy. So here I'm a successful, I don't know, entrepreneur. I'm a successful teacher. I'm doing good. I'm managing things. And then I see, well, my son takes us to a party and there's a successful doctor. Oh, they have a bigger house. And then the doctor goes to another party and sees, my God, this business owner, the CEO has about $5 million house and doing, and then this continues. It happens a lot with entertainment and athletes. So rather than managing what we have and then move on from that, we are constantly living our lives in other people's prism. We constantly comparing ourselves, so we never have our own life, and we call that again envy. So again, as I mentioned, we call that not enough syndrome, because we don't think we have enough, so we constantly looking for more.
Hmm.
And that comes again to that spending. The next one is a simple one, but it's like anything else. No planning. We don't want to put that energy, sit down and plan, because you know what? It's almost like having a therapy session or talking to someone else, because a lot of mud can come out, a lot of dark places. We go to a lot of dark places. We don't want to face it. So it's rather just ignore it and just leave it there. I got two more, so and then we finished. It's about
Hmm.
12. Um, the next one is called, I call it lack of principles. When you look back, whether you're religious or not, it is, every philosophy, even in businesses, we have guidelines and they simplify that. I think about 10 commandments, for instance. It's good to have these guidelines, and we don't have that, or we are not given, or it's good to abide by them, whatever again belief system is, and it makes life a lot simpler. So sit down and write down, for instance, those principles. I know, Zoroastrianism, which is one of the ancient religions, and it's 3,000 years ago, is really mother of monotheism. A lot of other religions came from this Persian religion, which is a really dying religion now, for whatever reason. It's one of the most wonderful religions. They have three principles. They say good good thoughts, then they talk about good words, and the last is good deeds. And if you have that, that is something that it gives you that at least the right guideline or a compass to go the right way. Now, if you're a music fan, if you ever watched Bohemian Rhapsody, Freddie Mercury was a famous Zoroastrian. And if you watch that movie, you hear the father keeps repeating that, tells him, good thoughts, good words, good deeds. So, and there's a lot of successful Zoroastrians have been out there. But again, have a principle to abide by. Find something that matches your personality and follow. And the last, but I don't think it's the least, it's very important. You have to be open to receive, to give. The universe has to see that you are capable, and we are not. It's all about me, 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 me. I want to buy this. I want to get this, whatever brand is. Okay, I want to be rich. Well, how do you define that? It's always about what I'm going to do for me rather than what I'm going to do for others. And I am able to manage it. So if I'm overspending, believe me, universe is not going to give you what you need. That's my experience of 40 years working for people. So be open, be gracious in being open, be grateful, and you will receive. So those are my 12 little tidbits based on my own experiences. So and then next segment we go to the remedies, how we can
Right.
work it out. All right.
Well, I just came up with something while you were talking. I've written them all down. And when I'm doing a workshop and I say to a client, make a list of, uh, how people express anger. And so they come up with a list. Then I get them to check off which ones they are personally have personal experience with. So I'm doing that with this list. Okay. So just before we take our break, I've had personal experience with overspending, a lack of financial education, a lack of discipline. I've experienced that. Definitely instant gratification, for sure. No common sense. I think I'm okay there. And my belief system has shifted a lot over the years, so we're good now. Justification, master. I'm a classic. I want that Corvette, and this is why I need it, and blah, 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 and I got it. Um, Comparing, yes, yes. Not enough, yes. I need a bigger house. I need a bigger car. Done that. Just did it this morning, I believe, before we came on the air. Planning, kind of, sort of, but sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not good. So I'm hoping our viewers can connect with these. Lack of principles, no, I have that. We teach this: good thoughts, good words, good deeds. And open to receiving, yes, I understand that principle. And I always have understood that. But there's a few check marks, Ramin,
We'll talk.
because personally, for me, I haven't had a job like you. Personally, I haven't had a job in 40 years. I've got nobody taking my taxes off and taking mine. I have to do that. So
Absolutely.
it's not always been the best systems, right?
Good.
Okay, well, talking about that and talking about money, if you're just joining us, you're watching the Today Show, and today is finance. And Ramin just shared all the culprits as to how we get into financial difficulty. And after our commercial break, he's going to talk about how to get out. And I'm going to be really taking notes there. So we're going to put up a 30-second spot just to take a little break, get a little breather. And this is an opportunity where, if you can envision your products, your programs, your services, your cause, your organization could be visible on our show. And we take money in three different ways. Number one, advertising on the show that supports the channel, the disability channel, because we're a non-for-profit organization. Donations, of course, and then sponsorships. We're open to receiving sponsorships per show, per episode, per week, per year, whatever. So I'd rather see something interesting here rather than snowflakes going up in the air. All right. So we'll be right back after these 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Today Show here on the Disability Channel. And if you've joined us live, and I do see some people have, love for you to make a comment so that we know you're here. And also, if you're supporting the show, we put your name in the hat, and on Friday we do a booty draw, and you want to have your name in there for that. So please make sure you do that. So back to you, Ramin. Jay may or may not drop in today. He just let us know that. But he said, you guys can do the show. We know that for sure. And not to worry about him not dropping in today. So over to you, Ramin, because we have the culprits and how we get into financial trouble. And now how are we going to get out of it? And I have my pen ready.
All right.
And I hope our viewers have their note. You should have we do have a comment, first of all, but we should have, whenever you come to any of our shows on the Today Show, you need to have a special Today Show journal. I do. And then I record everything inside. What's going on this show? We have a couple of comments, so let's deal with those first, Ramin, see who's up here. Ah, Kathy Bell. Ooh, hello there, Kathy. You're listening. Thank you. And Simon, I see you're here too. Very good. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. All right. Over to you, Ramin.
Awesome. Yes. So, we had the bad news out. So let's work on the good news, how we can remedy these things. And so we talked about, again, overspending. So the number one thing is keep track of your spending. It's a lot easier said than done, but it is important. And I know we talk about setting up our goals, and that physically writing them down is very important. As I mentioned, we avoid the pain because we don't want to face it. So we don't sit down and write things. Let's write them down. All right, where am I spending for insurance, rent, mortgage? And then, well, what am I doing? Am I eating a lot outside? A lot of our younger people, every day they have to have their Starbucks coffee. I had, I remember I met a driver. I was driving in Turkey, and his budget, his income was like $400 a year. I mean, a month, and he's spending like $150 on cigarettes, and would send like $150 to his wife and seven children. It just boggles my mind. So he said, "Well, if I don't smoke, I will not perform." I'm like, "Wait a minute, write them down." The second thing is goes back to education. Well, as I mentioned, really, you don't have a lot of support to educate you. You should do it on your own. Now, you want to do a fundamental understanding. So there's a lot of tidbits. Of course, there's YouTubes, and they give you a little bit. There's a teaser, but that's something that you should do it on your own. Find a few really good books and learn from A to Z. One of the problems I see with education as a whole is a lot of people, they want to play like piano, like they want to play the sonata, or they want to play, I don't know, we talked about Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, without really understanding the notes. We have to know there's seven notes. We have to know the alphabet. Everybody wants to write Shakespeare. They don't even know, A to Z. So learn the fundamentals. I know it's boring, but to learn the basics. And then that's where the common sense comes. Use your common sense. Believe me, we all have it. We just kind of looking for that shortcut. So education is important. The third thing is understand what is debt. Now, it's so accessible nowadays. So what it is, debt is actually, it's part of raising capital. So companies do that, governments do that, as long as it is for the right reason. So debt, people say, don't ever be in debt. Well, it depends what kind of debt it is. If that borrowing, for instance, is for appreciating asset, is something which is going to make you more money, then it's a good debt because it's relatively producing something. Unfortunately, with the access with so much, and we think that the banks, when you go to borrow or they offer you credit cards, oh, they've done their work. They know you have an income and you have good credit, so you're a good, responsible person, and they give it to you. Well, they don't know we talked about your habits and other things, and they're in the business of offering you these. That's how they make money. The way the banks make money is, we call it spread. And the spread is, you put the money in the account, they give you tiny little bit of, nowadays change a little bit, but they used to give you like 1% interest on your savings, and they go lend it out for 9 or 10%. So that spread is how they make their money. So if you don't borrow, they won't make anything. So they use your money to give it to other people. So basically, understand the debt. And if you have a good understanding that, wait a minute, this thing that I'm buying is immediately just going to depreciate. Let's say we buy a car and I'm
Oh,
paying
yeah.
7-8%, as you know, right off the door, it's already depreciate 15-20%. So do I want to do that? So understand what is debt. The fourth thing is make a budget. Again, it takes a little effort, but it allows you to see what are your needs, which unfortunately you don't have a lot of control. If you got, uh, again, housing, you got the insurance, some of the things you have to pay, but versus the wants. So the wants is the one you have the control. So we have our fixed expenses, and then we have our variable expenses. So let me share something. Just I was going to do it at the end, but it's a tidbit, a rule of thumb. Doesn't apply for everyone, but just a simplicity. I like to talk about principle simplicity. There's a rule of 50, 30, 20. So 50 means 50% of your income or whatever allocated, earnings that you have, it should go to your needs. Unfortunately, with the high inflation now, sometimes it's very difficult when your rents keep going up, insurance is going up, but generally it's 50. 30% is supposed to go to your wants. You want to go out, go on traveling, buy that, the clothing item, but that's your variable cost and it's your wants. And 20%, if you can, it should be, actually, we just talked about, it's about savings. You've got to put aside. So there's that 50, 30, 20, but depending on, again, the times that we are living. So we want to do that. So
I love that 50, 30, 20. That's a good guideline. Good morning, Jay.
Hi, guys.
good
We're
morning.
talking about one of your favorite topics, which is money.
No, I've been listening. Actually, I've been running around this morning. So right now I'm just in between production sets. So I thought I'd come on as we have a production meeting coming up at noon today regarding the series behind me. But I thought I'd stop in and just say hi, Ramin. We are.
Good morning.
I think we're on schedule for Friday, but I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
And I just wanted to give a couple updates, and then I'm going to pop off. Is we're really excited now is our the veteran organization, the non-for-profit that we're teamed up with now. We've now elevated our status. We're now international around the world. Our 50-50 now has a new element to it. We're doing monthly 50-50s where all the proceeds go towards helping veterans. But we're also going to be doing event 50-50s. So we have a fundraiser coming up in October with Freedom Train, one day off. And we're going to attach the 50-50 to it. And it's a free event. So it's kind of exciting. It's a free event. It's going to be a packed house, donations and 50-50. And then we're also, right now I'm working with Burlington's a great city. They really support the community with live events. And now the summertime's coming, so they have their first event. Well, I shouldn't say their first event, but maybe their first summer event called Sound of Music. So it's just a 3-day festival on the lake, right in front of where I live. And I've been media for the last couple of years. So we're hopefully going to be doing a 3-day 50-50. So this could be exciting. So, and again, the winner wins half of it. Our last 50-50 was $2,700. That was our first one. Now we're the media. So it's not my 50-50. We're the media for the Veteran House, but we're hoping to have a 3-day event. Sound of Music, a 3-day music event. And there's great bands. I should share who's going to be there. So Kim Mitchell, right? Kim Mitchell's going to be there. The Northern Pikes are going to be there. Jim Cuddy from Blue Rodeo is going to be there. Trooper.
Whoa.
And Chilliwack.
Wow.
So classic Canadian bands, plus a sprinkle of independent and new emerging bands, right? So it's going to be a great day. But Jim Cuddy, he lives in Burlington here. So it's going to be great. We all remember Chilliwack, how many hits they had, and Trooper and Kim Mitchell, of course, like Kim Mitchell, Max Webster, worldwide band. So it's going to be great. So we're going to do that. And then for the October event, that's a few months down the road from now. By then, we should be getting into the swing of the Evictus details. We should be getting in the swing of television series. So what I want to do is I'm planning to bring a A-list celebrity to the fundraiser who's going to maybe be in the television series. It's going to be very, very exciting. So Long McQuaid's going to jump on board. Sirius XM is going to jump on board. We're we're doing some great things with Your Home TV. I've been sending you emails as you're online, Laurie, which you probably haven't been checking, obviously. But yeah, so there's some great things. I saw yesterday from our guest from yesterday, Laurie, already. I think it had almost 400 downloads.
Cool.
I think it was like 370. That's just from yesterday's show alone. So that's very cool. That's very cool. So, and then today I'm going to check this. I love checking the stats, right? Check the analytics. It's not too fun when the analytics go down, though. But when they're going up, it's kind of exciting, sort of thing. So, I'm going to pop off. I just wanted to jump on and talk to you guys to death. And then anything you guys want to ask me, or any questions or anything like that before I pop off? Get ready for my next meeting.
Yeah. What was the date again on that music festival? The one day.
I think the one Sound of Music in Burlington. I think it's June 15th to the 18th, but I'm not 100% sure. But it'll be posted, and we'll post it, and then we have our own fundraiser again, courtesy of a real big supporter from the channel. He goes by the name K-Dog. So this man here is responsible for the October fundraiser, which I'm going to share more news, but he's been a huge supporter of the channel. He's a dear friend of mine. He loves what we do. He's very well connected. He's a music lover by heart. And he says, Jay, I watch what you guys do for the channel, and I watch how you guys, support, persons with disabilities and veterans and great opportunities. And he said, I have an opportunity where I could jump in and support the community, and I want to do it, and I want you guys to be the media, and you run the show, Jay, because this is what you do. But so I'm giving full props to K-Dog Productions, because he's the one that has stepped up and wants to help the veterans. So good job, guys. Good job.
Okay, thank you so much. We always love to have you and our updates, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate letting me jump on.
No worries.
Have a good day. Bye-bye. We'll see you Friday, Ramin.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there you have it. Wow, 400 downloads of Nad Zen's interview yesterday. I think we should try for 500 today. All right. So right back to you. If you've just joined us, you're watching the Today Show here on the Disability Channel. Tuesdays, we always talk money. So Ramin was here earlier and brought us the culprits. I checked off most of them, why people get into financial trouble. And now we're into the resolve. So we've got keep track of your spending, educate yourself, learn the basics, understand what is debt, make a budget. I love this 50, 30, 20. Over to you.
All right, thanks. Well, the fifth thing is, as we mentioned, the fixed costs. When you have, again, insurance you can shop around, but some of the things you cannot. Again, the rent you can negotiate, but those are fixed. Control your variable costs at 30%, and you do have control over that. You can actually lower your monthly bills. I don't have, if the electricity is too much, or we go out and eat, for instance. But I also have, again, this is based on the experience I've had over the years. I've seen, I have like 1, 2, 3% rule. And what that means is, we talked about that instant gratification. You mentioned about, you got to have that Corvette. Anytime you have that urge and you walk into this department or, the luxury place, and they say, well, you got to buy this. We have something called 1% rule, 2%, and 3%. So the 1% rule is, if the cost or the thing that you're spending on is more than 1% or around 1% of your annual income, take 1 day or 24 hours to think it over. I call it cool off time. So don't make that immediate decision, oh, I'm going to lose the opportunity. So if you're making $60,000 and the value of what you want to buy is the fragrance or whatever, it's $600, take 1 day off. If it's 2% of your annual income, take 2 days off. And if it's 3% or more, then take 3 days off. We found out after the 3 days, based on again what I've seen is, then you become paralysis analysis or analysis paralysis. So within 3 days, at 72 hours, you know if this is the right thing or not. So that's as far as controlling or looking at those variable costs, how to control your spending urges. Okay.
Mhm.
Then the next thing is, and makes sense, but a lot of people don't do that. Make sure you pay off your higher interest rate. So don't put everything equally. If you have the highest amount, kind of control that and pay that one first. So try to pay everything as soon as possible, but pay that one off with extra principal if you cannot afford to, you're not able to pay everything off. So just categorize and say, well, I have a 9% debt and I have an 18% debt. Well, I'm going to get rid of one at a time. Get rid of that, the big one. The monthly credit cards. I mean, this is something that, people under age 18 can get credit cards. It's good to have a credit card, by the way, one or two, to establish your credit for the future. Because you can be a multimillionaire, but if you don't have any credit history, would you believe the banks will not offer you that? And I've seen it. I mean, I've had people who want to buy a house. They were putting down 50%. And the bank said, oh, for 50% mortgage, you didn't have a history. I'm like, oh, really? I have like $1 million in your bank account. What do you mean I don't? So it's important to establish credit, which there are ways to do that for younger people. But the problem is just so easy nowadays. So the kids, especially in the younger people, they get accustomed to that easy money because they don't have to pay. So learn to pay off your credit cards balance every month. There's nothing like having a zero balance on your credit cards. Especially, you have to know the banks are now, with the prime rates going up, they have the excuse, oh, the rates are up. They don't say, well, 20 years ago, things were, similar ways, but the rates were lower. So they're taking advantage of that. It's not unusual to pay 29% in credit card, interest. This is something that, it might be outside the box, it's out there, but have something called detox spending. You know how we fast once in a while, like every 6 months we do detoxing, for body and all that. How about fasting on your spending? Take a week, a month. I'm not going to spend on these things that I have the urges. And it's funny how the habits start, establishing themselves. So I call it detox fasting or financial fasting or detox spending, I would say. And we talked about overspending. Stop that. If you have to eat outside, rather than eating all the time, cook at home. Do just simple things. It's healthier. And, I know you're a great cook and I've seen it, and you are wonderful in healthy foods. But a lot of people have that habit of this fast food. And this fast food is not cheap.
Not
You go
now.
to McDonald's, you pay 15, 20 at this United States before putting all that in your body with the fries and other things. I can make a healthy food. I'm not a good cook, but there's a lot of good ways of finding, organic food, and it's a lot less expensive. The last two, I think I'm going to elaborate a lot more, and we will dive into it, is number one, pessimism sells and optimism is boring. So when you listen to the news, a lot of bad news out there, and people get really concerned and they get worried. It's end of the world. And basically, when market really drops, they really drop because of the fear. On the other hand, when we are saving, I mentioned about 50, 30, 20, you got to have a savings plan, put the money aside. I mentioned again, out of your paycheck, things go out. So have that discipline to have an investment account that every month you put some money into that. So the ideal goal would be 20% of your income, but 10% will be actually good. Also, try to do that. The problem is, because as I said, the bad news, things go bad so fast. Good news, when you're making money, that interest or you, it's gradual. You don't see it till like years later. So it's not exciting. So that's why we rather do exciting things this moment rather than having an investment account which in 10 years could double or triple, because we had that system. So because of that, it's not exciting. But life is not about just excitement, it's about the reality. So get a habit of being optimistic and put the money for long term and understand that it will, especially again, younger people have that magic of compounding interest. How magical is that? So the last I would say is we put a lot of value on IQ and intelligence. But what I found out, and it goes back to common sense, your behavior and habits are more important than your intelligence. So you could be a very wealthy average IQ person, but I know many broke high IQ people.
Mhm.
The highest IQ person in the history, he was a bartender, bouncer. He had his show, and he just didn't have a common sense. He was very smart. He would grasp the information, but he didn't know how to manage it. So, and that's where I want to spend a little time because the habits are important. And that's why it's important to build the right habits. And this is what we are talking about. By the way, going back um, to budgeting and writing things down and mentioned, you've talked about it, our goals, when we physically write them down, it sticks with us. A lot of people with digital, you can do it on a laptop or, you can do it on computer. I, although I've done this for many years, I like to have that physical writing. I usually stick to that. So make sure your budget, if you can write it down, it's good. As a matter of fact, for budgeting, Peter Drucker was the father of management. And he said, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So let's open our eyes, look at our spending habits, or what are we doing with as far as where the money is going, and things will happen. So the last few minutes, I just like to start talking about these habits. Great habits happen with hard work. So we can build good habits. The bad habits do the same thing. You can build bad habits. So, um, you know, our habits are formed in our in basal ganglia in our brain. The brain is just amazing thing. The things that it can do, and it is that part is involved in emotions, in memories, in pattern recognition. So because of these repetitive actions that we do, if we do the right things or if we have right habits, it stimulates a substance called myelin. And myelin is what it does, it stimulates this the efficiency, and there's this electrical which affects the neurons. So the more we do the same thing the right way, the more the myelins are produced. So these neurons, they keep getting thicker and thicker because this path is getting thicker. As a matter of fact, just think about you're on a grassway path and you keep walking back and forth. Eventually you're going to have this paved path on the grass, and it's a lot easier to walk. The same thing with any roads that are made, but so the habits are built that way. So once we do something over and over, these again, the violence starts thickening, and that's your habits are made. It's almost like building a Lego. We're building a nice Lego, and then basically again that becomes your uh, constructive habit. The problem is we have bad habits also, and those are very difficult because remember, this path has been paved, or the myelin, these lines have really gotten thick that we have to break it. So again, I go back to Lego. So when you build these Legos, if you, especially for the younger, taking those blocks is sometimes very difficult. You've got to really work hard. But eventually, as you working on them, you end up breaking them. So building the right habits and getting rid of the bad habits. We talk about the spending. It takes a lot of effort, but it's very much doable. As I said, the good habits can stay with you because they produce these are chemical reactions in your brain, and that's how you can stick with them. So basically, that's the way. Again, that's what it was a comment. Time is money. Again, it goes back to compounding interest. You know, obviously the younger we are, we have that luxury of the time. So, but it's never too late. We are living much longer, so anyone can break those habits and build the new habits. So those are my little tidbits of our culprits and how we can build on. There's a lot more, but again, in summary, don't overspend, get a budget, educate yourself, build good habits, and basically life will be a lot easier. So
Well, Kathy reminded me of something earlier. I don't know, another tidbit that you may not be aware of, Ramin, is that as a female, we are actually born with 2 extra chromosomes. And one is called guilt. And, and the other one is called on sale. So, we have this extra veil of, complication when it comes to money because we've got this other thing going on. But I mean, who needs 10 pairs of black slacks? Okay. Like, really? Like, you can only wear one pair at a time. And I was a clothes horse. And, I mean, I spent more money on clothing than I probably would have if I'd been taking crack or cocaine. That was my addiction. But now I'm like, there's hangers with nothing on them in my closet, and there's that. So that habit for me has passed. That instant, needing to have 55 white blouses and things like that, right? So yeah, that becomes more of a hoarding issue. So, but I thought I would just share that
that's fine.
in closing.
Well,
Yes, for sure. Thank you, Kathy, for reminding me of that. And the other thing is just a couple of announcements. We're coming up this morning in another hour or so, and I'll be hosting with Doug Smith the press box coming directly from the Disability Channel. And today we have a very awesome guest. His name is Jim Kite, and he's associated with the Algonquin College in Ontario, and but a vast past in the sports world. So anyway, looking forward to that interview with Jim coming up. And let's see, anything else? Oh, yes, at the end of the month, Ramin and I are hosting a summit. It's called the Recovery Summit. And you can come to the summit for all 3 days, listen to some amazing speakers talk about a situation they were in, what they did to get out of it, just like Ramin did today. You told us what the culprits were, but then you told us how to get out of it. And that's how the summit runs. So we have people sharing their personal stories of recovery. It's May 31st, June 1st and 2nd. If you want a ticket, you just email me at thelaurie.davis@gmail.com and you can get a ticket. Also, our speakers are selling tickets, and so you may want to come and join us. And you don't have to come for all 3 days. You can pop in and out over the 3 days if there's a certain speaker that you want. So if you're interested in that information, just email me and I'll send you the flyers sharing all of our speakers, who they are, etc. So that's an exciting time. And our show coming up with Doug is at 11 a.m. Eastern. No, excuse me, my mistake. 1 p.m. Eastern time. So it's at 11 Mountain time. All right. Anything else we need to say before we go, Ramin? Thank you for being here again today and backing us up with good information.
No, no, it's as I mentioned, that this problem doesn't have any borders, doesn't really have ages,
Mhm.
ethnicity, culture. It happens, a global problem. I just want to finish it on a positive note. You don't, again, it's not, spending is okay. So sometimes it's important to reward yourself. So it's okay to, stick. I mentioned about detoxification, detoxing and the fasting, and then if you made a good habit, go ahead and reward yourself. It's you deserve it. So, but it should not be a habit. It should be a actual feeling like a reward. And that's what, unfortunately, the credit cards allow you to reward yourself first and then pay for it later. It should be the other way. You should earn it first. You should
And
go to
then,
work, make it, and then reward yourself. And I know many people who want to have the vacation first and then worry about it later. So you have to put the things in perspective. But it's okay to reward yourself. I mean,
thank you for sharing that. Because I was starting to feel a little guilty because that's my
no.
extra chromosome, right? All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow with our wellness workshops, and I call them workshops because that's what I do most of the time, but broadcast. And our special guest will be Dr. Kay Sheffield. She's going to come on and share what she did, two-time cancer survivor, and how she managed her health. Because it's not about just managing your wealth.
Yeah,
It's also about managing other aspects of our life as well, right, Ramin?
absolutely.
So, yeah, for sure. Okay, so everybody have a terrific day, and we'll chat with you later. So, bye for now from the Today Show
Thank you.
here at the Disability Channel.
Have a great rest of the day. Bye. Thank you.